Hey, welcome back to Mrs. Wizard's Way. And it's not the normal location because, as you can see behind me, there's a snowstorm in Kansas. Yeah, it's not a wall of white. Well, it kind of is. It is really snowing out there today. But hey, it's a good day to hear a story. So let's find out, why did I quit teaching? So it took a long time for me to finally convince myself that I can quit teaching. I taught for 26 years. I quit just last school year. And there's so many teachers that are quitting for many, many different reasons. And mine were no different than any of the other teachers. I have about 6 really strong reasons that said, I'm done. The first reason I quit was, somebody in the school district, and you can talk to teachers about this, somebody in a school district will have read a book or attended a conference, and that is the next new greatest thing that has to happen. And that's what my district did. They discovered some new way that we were supposed to be grading kids, but it was going to be insane. It was going to be hard to do every single kid individually. I mean, good Lord, I had 6 classes with 25 kids in it or so. So, I had tons of kids every day, and individually, I don't think they understood how it worked. You can't do that. It was the idea, the premise behind it was fabulous, and where they got the information from, well, they had it for some core subjects like English and math and science, but they didn't have all the other classes. Well, in high school, there's basically 4, maybe 5-ish kind of English classes. In art, there's 20. And to go through every single class, it was so much work. And actually, by the time I finally quit that year, they were thinking, this isn't looking like it's going well. We may not be able to do this. Yeah. After 26 years of, let's try some new program. Let's try some new technique. It got a little old, whether you believed in it or not. And it really wasn't fair, the system that they were trying to do. So that was one of the first reasons. The second reason, and if you look at why did teachers quit, this is a big one. Obviously, you're going to think the first one was going to be money, and it's not. It'll be on the list, but it's not number 1. Number 2 was lack of leadership. And that's a big one because I've had a lot of principals in my days, and I've had some really great ones. I had a couple of sleazy ones. I had one, this last one had good intentions, but it never came to fruition. The concept of enforcing rules was not always done well. The idea of not having cell phones out, just tell them to put it away. These are high school kids. These are teenagers. Don't just tell them, can you put that phone away? Can you put that phone away? Can you put that phone away? You can't say that 20 times a day and expect it to not happen again tomorrow. And so we had a lot of trouble with kids just kind of running the roost. No enforcement on phones. The dress code was kind of a mess. It was just kind of crazy. And so it was kind of hard. What do you expect of me? I know what the rules say. I know what I'm supposed to be doing, but how do I say, don't do this if I know that other teachers in the building aren't? And he wasn't. It was a mess. So number 2 was lack of leadership. Number 3 was the one that actually pushed me over the edge and said, I'm done. I'm done. Last spring, I broke up a fight between 2 girls. Another teacher and I were literally standing across the hall. I'm not talking the long way across the hall. The short way across the hall, here to there, 10 feet away from us. They started fighting. We literally grabbed them and pulled them apart. We could have gotten hurt. If this were boys fighting, no way was I going to tackle that. But it was 2 girls, and I actually knew one of them afterwards. I grabbed the one that I knew I had in class. I'm like, well, who are you? It's like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? I yelled that day so much to stop. And finally, a para in one of what we call the academic life skills room. These are for the kiddos who are very, very challenged. These are the kiddos who may struggle with walking, bodily functions. They're usually nonverbal. One of their paras came out and started helping. He didn't need to. He wasn't a teacher. He shouldn't have been on hall duty because this was during a passing period. He came out and helped. But that day, in the video we recorded later that day, I was hoarse. You could hear me kind of gravelly because I yelled, stop, so many times. They eventually stopped. They didn't get expelled. Yeah. They got expelled for a while, but not permanently expelled. Yeah, they got suspended. They're out for about a week. Yeah. So that was one of the things that I'm done. I kept asking, hey, this hallway is the main hallway. Lots of kids walk through this. You got to give me more protection. You got to give some help. You got to have people walking through here. Oh, okay, yeah. And then maybe the people would come out a couple minutes into the break and a couple minutes after, they leave. It's a 5-minute break. Can't you be there on time? No. The fourth thing was staff. Not all the staff, but there was just some. Some of the staff was just making everybody's life miserable, especially in their department. All the rules should be enforced, except for us. We don't need to be there 10 minutes before the school day starts. I can come in at 8 or 9. The contract said 10 minutes before the bell rings for the day. You need to be there. Not for them. And they would just, if they could make it more difficult, they would do so. But they were under the protection, the bad protection that a union provides. So there was nothing that could be done against them, because if they tried to do something to say disciplinary on them, call the union. And unfortunately, it protected them. Now, I'm not bashing unions, because I was a member of the union. After some of the crazy kind of ideas and thoughts that parents and kids had for quite a while now, I joined for the protection that can help if a parent decides, I don't like the color of your eyes. I don't like your lip gloss. The stripes on your shirt are offensive. I can be protected for those reasons, not to protect somebody for doing bad things. And that's what was happening. And they made so many people's life just miserable in the building, students and staff. The fifth reason is some of the unreasonable demands that students had. And it does fall on that LGBTQ spectrum. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not going on any of that rant and rage. I had several students that even did gender reassignment things. It was all fine. I was frustrated with the kiddos who would just randomly choose or change their gender or their name all the time. It's one thing if you change it once. Okay, I'm Bob, I'm now Sally. That's great. You're now he, you're now she. Okay, I can do that. But some of these kiddos would change every day. Sometimes multiple times in a day. But they wouldn't tell us, because we're the enemy, we're the adults, we're the teachers. You don't always tell us. But then they would get mad if I used the wrong name or the wrong gender, or if they made a change, I accidentally said the wrong one that they'd had for the past year that I've had them in class. It was an accident. You apologize and you were fine. But that got really, really frustrating, because you're trying your best. And again, you've got like 150 kids in a day. I can't keep track of every single one of them at every single minute of the day, especially when they're not in my classroom. So that one got just tiresome. But I did have one cute story with this one. I had a kiddo, and she had a very interesting name. One I had never had in my 26 years. Nobody else had ever had this name, but she sent me, and she was very quiet little girl. And so she sends me an email and says, I'm not going to go by that name anymore. I'd like to be known by this other name. But if you call me by that other name, my first name, my, dead name, that's okay, I understand. But I would like to go by this name now. And it's like, it gave me a little bit more to remember. It's like, okay, I've got this email, I read about it, she's told me I have permission if I accidentally say the wrong name. That one was much easier to handle, and she was such a cute girl. It's like I did really try, because after having her 7 months of the year, the last couple of months, different name, just happens. I mean, how many times did your parents ever call you by your brother or sister's name? Exactly. The sixth one that I'm done, was the stress and the hours were just too much. It wasn't that I was working gobs of hours outside of the day on schoolwork so much, because 26 years again, I knew exactly what to teach, what I was going to need, what I had to do. So I didn't have to be there a whole bunch of time before school or a whole bunch of time after school, preparing and getting stuff together and grading papers. It was just some of just getting things together, and just all those other 5 stressors just piling up on top of me was just too much. And when I think about how much you get paid when you have all those stressors and all of the hours that you're doing, and some of those hours also include not the ability to be gone. I can't just go on vacation. You know, that anniversary trip that the Wizard and I just took in October, never would have been able to take that. Well, technically, here's the district. If you work for 25 years, you can get six personal days. But to plan for 6 personal days would be an absolute nightmare, because you can't just say, oh, hey, I'm not coming in today, I'm sick. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, I'm going back to bed, bye. Yeah, I'll drink orange juice, okay. You can't just call in sick and say, it's all good. You had to plan for 6 classes. And lucky me, I had about 5 different preps. So 5 different classes to plan for. Had to give all that, and I remember times waking up sick and typing at the computer what to send to the sub, what each class needed to do. Because I couldn't just say, put a movie on. I just couldn't do that when they were in the middle of doing something else. So between not having a whole lot of money and this time and the stress of keeping up with the YouTube channel, and everything going on at the shop, I said, you know what? That is part of my life I don't need any longer. So what happened when I quit? Yeah, well, everybody was pretty shocked, because I was the 3rd longest longevity teacher in the building. There were 2 other ladies that had been there longer than I had. And I was the one that had been there. So I've been a long time. Plus I was a leader in the building. I was in charge of many different tasks. And I just said, you know, I can't do this. And they were good. I mean, they were fine with it. But after I quit, I love some of the things that happened district-wide. So not my school level, but the district level, the higher level. I love the fact they sent me a happy birthday email in the summer, because my birthday was in the summer. And that was also the day that they cut off my email. So I got the email that said, happy birthday, and then radio silence after that. Enter your password, doesn't exist any longer. Okay, thank you, that was great. But the creme de la creme of everything that happened was I got a lovely nasty-gram in July. And it was not only sent to me, but also to my now former principal. And it was lovely. I've printed it off for you so you can kind of peruse this as I'm going through. But it says, Dear Certified Employee. So it didn't even have my name. And I know this is auto-generated and all, but don't you think they could have purged this before they sent it? But it said, this letter is an awareness courtesy notification about your attendance status. This is not a disciplinary action. The purpose of this letter is to alert you that as of 7/7/2023, you have 0 hours of temporary leave remaining in the 2023 fiscal year. Now, mind you that it's in summer and you're not taking any personal leave, but still, they're letting me know this. Now, in accordance with attendance guidelines, you need to be aware of the consequences of excessive use of temporary leave. Should you progress to the point of deduct status, you will face disciplinary action and up to including termination. Thanks. When I quit, I had 1,515 and a half hours of sick leave because it accumulated and they didn't have a limit. Okay, that's equal to 216 and a half school days. Okay, the average school year is about 170 school days. Yeah, that means I could have taken an entire school year and a 9 weeks, so 1.25 school years off. But they still had to send me the nasty-gram. Yeah, that was just some nice icing on the cake. Now, one thing I am sorry for, I'm really sorry I left some really good teachers behind. I'm especially in the environment that they were in. I know they're not getting paid a whole lot, but they can't afford to go anywhere else. They didn't have anything else that they could go back and rely on as a source of income, because as a teacher, that's what you're trained to be, and that's what your skill is in. And even though it's maybe not the highest paying job, it is paying. And they had bills to pay, so they weren't able to quit. And so they're stuck with some of the other teachers in the building. There was one that she came to me, it was before she knew I was quitting, because I knew I was quitting before I told them, of course. But, because I waited till the end of the school year. But I've caught her at one point where her department was just being so mean and nasty to her. And she was crying, and I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, I hate this. She's like, I wish I could get out of this, but I can't. And after I did say I was quitting, a couple months later, she's like, I'm so jealous. I wish I could do this too, but I can't. So those of you that are out there watching, if you have teachers in your life, take care of them. Don't just say, oh, you signed up for this. You knew you weren't going to get paid well. Well, we don't always have to get paid well but we don't need to be treated like crap. And so I feel better now. Now that I'm working at the shop, I found my way. It took a while because teachers save a lot for the summer. And so people say, as soon as summer hit, they're like, do you like being retired? I'm like, it doesn't feel any different because I'm keeping up with all those summer tasks. I waited, said, oh yeah, I'll do that in the summer. I'll do that in the summer. I'll do that in the summer. Yeah, when that ended, then I was like, okay, now what do I do? So I made this channel, so you guys are watching, obviously, and I started making my part works, which are on sale on eBay right now. Check that link in the description below. But that's kind of helped me figure out who I am, because yeah, as a teacher, you're working all the time. You can't go from all the way up here down to here because the shop isn't as intensive as keeping track of 150 kids in a day. So that's the story of why I quit teaching. So glad you're able to watch with me today. Don't forget that auction in the description below. But otherwise, I'll see you later. Bye.